I'll go ahead and put us in order. The House will come to order. We're going to have the national anthem by Elizabeth High School Chamber Choir from Elizabeth, Colorado. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. This morning, the pledge is going to be said by Ben Chavez from Singing Hills Elementary, Cora Love from Running Creek Elementary in Elizabeth, Colorado.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and
Justice for all. Mr. Stoka, please call the roll.
Representatives Arndt, Baisley, Benavides. Benavides excused. Bird, Bockenfeld, Buck, Buckner, Fuenteo, Caraveo, Carver, Catlin, Champion, Coleman, Cutter, Duran, Escar, Representative Escar. Representative Escar is excused. Exum, Froelich, Garnett, Geithner. Representative Geithner is excused. Gonzalez Gutierrez, Gray, Herod, Holtorf, Hooten, Representative Hooten. Representative Hooten's excused. Humphrey, Representative Humphrey. Representative Humphrey is excused. Jackson. Representative Jackson's excused. Hawkes Lewis. Kennedy. Kipp. Kraft Tharp. Landgraf. Larson. Liston. Lontine. McCloskey. McKean. McLaughlin. Melton. Michelson Janae. Representative Michelson Janae. Representative Michelson Janae is excused. Mullica. Neville. Pelton. Ransom. Rich. Roberts. Sane. Sandridge. Singer. Good morning. Sirota. Snyder. Soper. Representative Soper's excused. Sullivan. Tipper. Representative Tipper. Representative Tipper's excused. Chitone. Valdez A. Hey. Valdez D.
Good morning, Colorado.
Van Winkle. Weisman. Will. Williams. Representative Williams. Representative Williams is excused. Wilson. Woodrow. Young. Madam Speaker. Who's here?
With 56 present and 9 excused, we have a quorum. Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the Journal of Tuesday, March 10th, 2020 be adopted as amended by the Chief Clerk.
You all have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Oh, so silly. The motion passes. Members, we're going to hold most announcements and introductions until after third reading, if possible. But if you have someone here, that's fine. Representative Valdez.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. Good morning, members. We have some special guests here in the chamber with us today. I'd like to welcome the Florence Crittenton School and say hi. Florence Crittenton School is amazing because their mission is to educate, prepare, and empower these teen mothers and their children to break the cycle of poverty for generations. This two-generation model more than doubles success rates and ensures that children are kindergarten ready. We are fortunate to have these women with us here today, and I am very honored to be the representative of the Florence Crittenton School. So thank you. Everyone say hi if you get a chance.
Okay. Any announcements that need to be made now? Because we're going to go into third reading. Otherwise. So if it's possible to hold announcements till after that, we would appreciate it. That brings us to third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1216.
House Bill 1216 by Representative Malka, Senator Janal, concerning the continuation of State Board of Nursing and in connection therewith implementing the recommendations contained in the 2019 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1216 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1216 on third reading and final passage. Representative Malika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The drafter emailed me last night, Madam Speaker, and found a technical amendment that we use the word collaboratively instead of cooperatively, and so I would ask for permission to run a third reading amendment.
Can you please display your amendment?
So I move Amendment L005 and ask that it properly be displayed.
So we first have to give permission to do a third reading amendment. Although, Mr. Stoka, so the question before us is permission to do a third reading amendment. Let's get it displayed. Okay. Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. I see that there are some members who are not going to cooperatively or collaboratively. Exum, Coleman, Young, Tipper. Young. Please close the machine. With 54 aye votes, 6 no votes, and 5 excused, permission to offer a third reading amendment is granted. Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move L005, and yes, I ask for an aye vote.
The question before us is Amendment L005 to House Bill 1216. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. Buck, please close the machine. With 57 aye votes, 3 no votes, and 5 excused, L005 is adopted. Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1216 on third reading and final passage as amended.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1216 on third reading and final passage as amended. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. Ransom, Van Winkle, Williams. Please close the machine. With 51 aye votes, 9 no votes, and 5 excused, House Bill 1216 is passed as amended. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1179.
House Bill 1179 by Representative Harrod and Soper, also Senators Gardner and Lee, concerning implementation of the Committee on Legal Service recommendation in connection with the legislative review of state agency rules.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1179 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1179 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. Hooten. Please close the machine. With 51 aye votes, 9 no votes, and 5 excused, House Bill 1179 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1118.
House Bill 1118 by Representative Larson and Titone, also Senator Heisey, concerning the penalties imposed on the driver of motor vehicles who cause seriously bodily injury to another person.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1118 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1118 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine. Members, please vote. Bockenfeld, McKean. Okay. Please close the machine. With 60 aye votes, no votes, and 5 excused, House Bill 1118 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of Senate Bill 114.
Senate Bill 114 by Senator Gardner, also Representative Tipper, concerning the Uniform Registration of Canadian Money Judgments Act.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 114 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 114 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. Crafthart, please close the machine. With 57 aye votes, 3 no votes, and 5 excused, Senate Bill 114 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of Senate Bill 134.
Senate Bill 134 by Senators Woodward and Zenzinger, also Representative Arndt, concerning the repeal of certain language used to determine the cash fund revenue that is derived from the non-fee sources when calculating the money uncommitted reservations at a cash fund at the end of the fiscal year.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 134 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 134 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. Wilson, please close the machine. With 60 aye votes, no no votes, and 5 excused, Senate Bill 134 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. That brings us to General Order, second reading of bills. Representative Tipper. You all have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Representative Tipper will take the chair.
Committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, bills will be read by title unless there's a request for reading a bill at length. Committee reports are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader or assistant majority leader. And the coat rule is, of course, relaxed. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1296 and Senate Bill 85 one day till Thursday, March 12th.
House Bill 1296 and Senate Bill 85 will be laid over to Thursday, March 12th. Not Mr. Randall. Mr. Stoka, will you please read the title of House Bill 1329 by Representatives Kip and Sane?
House Bill 1329 by Representatives Kip and Sane, also Senator Todd and Lundin, concerning a departmental report to the General Assembly about unfunded programs that have not received any money for at least 6 fiscal years.
Representatives? Representative Kip.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move HB 20.1329.
Okay, to the bill.
1329. What? And we haven't.
Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L001 and ask it to be properly displayed.
L001 has been moved and properly displayed. To the amendment, Representative
Thank you so much.
Sane.
In the quest for even further perfection, if you can even imagine that, we worked with our good friends, Representative McKean and Representative Art, to further perfect this housekeeping bill and amend the printed bill, page 4, line 3, if you're following along here, which I know you all are. I'm going to strike 7 and substitute 5, even though 7 is the number of completeness.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L001? Seeing none. Question for us is the adoption of L001. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Whoa, opposed no. L001 passes. Back to the bill. Representative Sane.
Thank you. Great bill. Vote yes.
Is there any further question on House Bill 1329? Seeing none, question for us is the adoption of House Bill 1329. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. 1329 passes. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1008 until Friday.
House Bill 1008 will be laid over until Friday. Mr. Stoka, will you please read the title to Senate Bill 167?
Lori Sane, what are you doing?
Senate Bill 167 by Senators Hansen and Priola, also Representative Becker, concerning increasing consumer access to electric motor vehicles by allowing manufacturers to sell their own electric motor vehicles directly to consumers.
Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 167 and the House Committee on Energy and Environment Committee report.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We made a couple amendments that were technical in nature. There was a compromise reached in the Senate on this bill, and that amendment, when it passed the Senate, just had a mistake in there. We just had to clarify on page 2, ownership and operation or control of one or more vehicle dealers. If the manufacturers manufacture only EVs, has no franchise dealers, that's who this is limited to. So I ask for an aye vote on the committee report.
Any discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, question for us is the adoption of the Energy and Environment Committee report. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Committee report passes. Back to the bill. Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Senate Bill 167 simply allows manufacturers of electric motor, EV manufacturers, to sell directly in Colorado to consumers. I think the bill expands consumer choice. I think it's good for the environment. I think it promotes competition. And right now, the usual opposition of the auto dealers is actually neutral with a compromise that was reached in the Senate. So we know that demand for EVs is growing exponentially every year. Coloradans are 4th in the country in consumer use of EVs. That continues to grow. So we think that there's a lot of benefit, increased competition, increase air quality benefits, and so I ask for an aye vote on Senate Bill 167.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 167? Representative Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Members, I sit on the Energy Environment Committee, and we heard the testimony on this bill. They've come back. If you recall, some of you last year, we defeated this.
I'm sorry, Representative Liston. Members, I cannot hear Representative Liston down at the well. I'm sure he has something important to say. Please take your conversations off the floor.
Thank you,
Representative
Madam Chairman.
Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So members, we debated this bill at the very end of the session last year, and we actually killed this comparable bill. This basically is a carve-out for one company. I know they would dispute that, but the company is called Rivian. And last year, in fact, it was last May, they got a $500 million capital infusion from Ford Motor Company. So Ford Motor Company, which I'm not here talking against, but Ford Motor Company invested a minimum of $500 million into Rivian. There have been other capital infusions to the tune of about $3 billion into this company. And so this company wants to sell their electric SUVs and their electric pickups, which is all well and fine, but they want to do it under their rules versus the long-standing rules and regulations that our good auto dealers have abided by for the last 90 years. So they want to come in and be able to sell direct from the manufacturer to the public without having a dealer network, without having necessarily service centers, unlike our good dealers that we see in our communities, that are in every one of our communities. These dealerships who are your friends and neighbors and philanthropic advocates in your own communities have been stellar citizens over the last 90 years. And what this bill will do will undercut the dealer network system that we have successfully worked with for 90 years. So, and you think about it, in your communities, my community, Colorado Springs, we have General Motors dealerships, we have Red Nolan Cadillac, we have Pincus, we have, just great dealerships. They've been good model citizens. When your Little League team or your needs a sponsor, those dealerships are there for you. When you need to have something done in your community, like to have sponsorship for the symphony or whatever it may be, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, those dealerships are there for your community. And it's not just the owners of the dealerships, it is the hundreds of employees that help our communities. So this bill will, in essence, as far as I'm concerned, will undercut the great auto dealers that we have had in our communities for, in some cases, 90 years or more. So for that reason and many more, members, I urge a no vote on Senate Bill 167. Thank you.
Representative Milton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, we had a lengthy debate on this bill here on the floor last year, and as many of you know, I was adamantly against this idea and this concept. But I want to give credit to the sponsors this year because they really did come and compromise. They came to the table and they found a solution that does not put our dealers in jeopardy, but still allows these new, very small startups to get going. I agree with what my colleague from El Paso County said, that the dealer model is working here in Colorado. And it is important that consumers have a place to go if they need their car to be fixed or broken down. But when it comes to these smaller companies, getting into this market can be difficult. And so with the compromise that's made, it still says that, if you have a dealership, if you're a manufacturer that's working with a dealership, that you continue that process. But if you're an EV manufacturer that doesn't have a dealership model at this point, this allows you to get into the market. I really do appreciate both sides for coming together and working this out. And with that, members, I will be a resounding aye vote, and we'll see what the market does from here.
Representative Holtorf. Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to continue to be a no vote on this bill, and here's why. We sat through hours of testimony only to find out from the Department of Revenue that this bill isn't necessary for some of those manufacturers like Rivian to open a storefront. They can do exactly what Tesla is doing now. So I don't see that this bill is necessary. I still don't think it's free market because other companies don't have to, not everybody's on the same playing field. So just understand that if you want to buy an electric car directly from a manufacturer, they can do that now under current law without this bill. I don't believe this bill is necessary, and I will vote no.
Representative Holtorf, did you want to speak on the bill? Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of this esteemed body. Representative Melton and I are dialoguing over here. Apologize for the delay, but one of the concerns we have, electric vehicles are a great thing. And this we want to promote in Colorado and across the nation. The real concern here is about service, repair and maintenance, not just with respect to the mechanical part of the electric vehicle, but also the body and the body work that gets done. If under this model the manufacturer sells and does not have a good sales and service network, then the customer, if you think about consumer protection, the customer who purchases these vehicles is going to have a problem. And I have heard complaints about electric vehicles where if you have an issue, then you're not going to get a responsive repair or maintenance service experience because they're just not available. They just aren't there. There's a few service centers. Now, in talking with Rivian, I did speak with them, and they said, well, we're going to have a service vehicle that will travel around the state, and it will be able to meet all the needs. They also made the claim that these vehicles are not going to break down very frequently. And to both of those comments, I said, well, anything that you build is going to break down, even no matter how confident you are in your technology. There are going to be maintenance issues. The service requirements for these vehicles will begin once they're on the market and put into operation. So my concern with this is, do we have the proper consumer protection perspective with respect to getting these vehicles maintained and serviced? And I would argue with Rivian that we need to consider having some type of arrangement, and I don't know, and I asked Rep. Melton, and maybe there's somebody here, maybe the bill sponsor or someone else can help answer this question. How do we meet the service and maintenance needs of these vehicles in the state as they begin to sell them as manufacturers? So I don't know if the bill sponsor heard me or not. I know she's very much in dialogue, but I am asking a question about the service.
I think Representative Melton's ready to answer your question. Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And maybe I've been sitting on this side of the aisle too long, but I would say that this really is going to be a market-driven solution. I think that this is a situation where those manufacturers are going to have to figure out how to service those automobiles. I know with the dealer model, the dealers have that, and maybe they'll go to a dealer model, but for them and their entry into this marketplace, I think that the marketplace needs to find that solution. Right now, we've seen Tesla doing a fairly good job with that in terms of their service centers. If Rivian comes in, they're going to have to figure out how to service those and keep their customer base happy in order to make sure that they continue to be a viable company. And if they're not, I know I think I'm getting a welcome side from the GOP here, but I really do think that this is, they're going to have to learn some lessons. They're going to have to butt their head up against the wall a little bit, and this will be a learning process for them. I've always supported the dealer model because I think that has given that avenue to consumers. But for them, I think that they want to try to come into a market and try this new approach. Let's let them do that. Let's see how that works, and let's let the market resolve it itself.
Representative Holtorf.
Well, I am very excited, Madam Speaker, or rather, Madam Chair, that Representative Melton is talking about free market economic forces. I'm surprised, but I think in this regard, I think he makes a very good point. If the manufacturers can respond to consumer demand in a positive way under this model, or if they can forge some alliances with some dealers or a dealership to, once they introduce their vehicle, to meet the needs of service and maintenance, I'm very confident that we will be able to move forward with this company. So with that, I thank you for your comments.
All right, and if I were to break the rules, I would be introducing my high school principal, Mr. Griffith, who just came in the room over there, but I will not do that. Representative Donald Valdez.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and it's an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you.
You know, I want to thank the compromise that was on this bill, and thank the Madam Speaker and also the bill sponsors for moving this bill forward, because we do have moved a long ways forward with diversity, and as we continue to move forward in all aspects, whether free trade and free market, but you have my support on this bill as we continue in all aspects moving forward for the great state of Colorado. Thank you.
Any further discussion on Senate Bill 167? Seeing none, question for us is the adoption of Senate Bill 167. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no? The ayes have it. Mr. Majority Leader. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. Mr. Soka, will you please read the title to Senate Bill Senate Bill 78?
Senate Bill 78 by Senator Donovan, also Representative Garnett, concerning the ability of a person to bring a pet dog onto the premises of a restaurant.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, members, rarely do we get to hear a bill of this magnitude on seconds twice. But luckily, today is the second time we will hear Senate Bill 78. Again, great bill. Vote yes.
Representative Singh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Don't go away, Representative Garnett. I'm going to move L006 and ask it to be properly displayed.
Amendment L006 has been moved. Oh, I'm sorry. Representative Garnett, will you please move the
Madam
bill?
Chair. I move Senate Bill 78.
Thank you. Back to the amendment. Representative Singh.
And I move L006 and ask it to be properly displayed.
L006 has been moved and displayed. To the amendment, Representative Singh.
So with further proof that the General Assembly, the House side, has gone to the dogs, you can see that the names of the dogs of the General Assembly are hereby added to this bill in support.
Thank you. May Section 1B rest in peace. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, remember, we didn't want to make this technical change on third reading, so we moved it back to second reading. And we have added many dogs from the House side, including staff and folks who, and these dogs will be memorialized in statute forever. And this is a way for us to sort of bring everyone together and put our dogs first. So I would urge and I vote.
Question before us. Is there any further discussion on Amendment L006? Seeing none, question for Representative Sandrich.
I like. Thank you, Madam Chair. I like you allowing me to cut in front of the line. It's respect. What I'm doing is, I'm in all support, but we are...
Sorry, Representative Sandrich. Members, it's too loud and we're discussing something very serious. If you could please listen to Representative Sandrich.
Members, you will regret this if you do not hear what I have to say. People will regret this. If your dog is not on that list, we're doing a substitute amendment to get your pet on there right now. You will regret if you don't walk down there. And this also includes, I think, deceased pets. I think it should. One of my deceased pets on there.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And to Representative Sandrich's point, I don't want it to go beyond the title, so the deceased piece, we got to sort of think that through. But I do want the House to know that the Senate was opposed to this idea. So if, and only if, we adopt this amendment and we pass the bill on third reading tomorrow, I would encourage every member whose dog is memorialized on this amendment to go and talk to their Senate representative to make sure that they concur with House amendments to Senate bill, because the Senate, in their old worldness, wasn't in favor of going in this direction. So it's just important for all of us in a bipartisan way, on behalf of the General Assembly, to go over and advocate for the Senate to concur. And this is all just assuming that this amendment's adopted and this bill passes.
Representative Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Members, I rise in support of this amendment in honor of our dog. I want to come back as our dog. This is Darby. So she leads a better life than 99% of us. So in honor of Darby, I support this amendment.
Representative McKean.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So I had a question with the bill sponsor, and I think that it's probably a question that we're all thinking, and that's, what about cats on leashes? Because I think that this kind of a bill is exclusionary, and what did I read this morning? Speciesist. I think this is speciesism. Speciesism? Speciesism? Fascism? I don't, but what about cats on leashes?
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, this is like the final call on the substitute amendment, because we got to make sure that we're doing the people's business. But when it comes to cats on leashes, we have a single subject requirement here in the state of Colorado. And if we were to do cats on leashes, not only would it not fit under the title of the bill, but I would also be careful of violating the single subject requirement. And so I would be, if you want to get a late bill request, there's a way to get sign off for cats on leashes, and I would be happy to sit down and have a discussion with any member in the building that wanted to extend this privilege to other types of pets.
Thank you, and I just hope that the children in the chamber are not discouraged from pursuing a career in public service based on this conversation. Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm wondering about pot-bellied pigs, because in Park Hill, my constituents have decided, a lot of them, to have pot-bellied pigs that they love to walk around the neighborhood, bring to Honey Hill, have a coffee, maybe have some bacon if they're okay with that. So eggs, okay, I don't know.
Just kidding.
Gavel down bacon. So I want to ask the bill sponsor why we have decided not to allow for pot-bellied pigs in this bill.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, again, as a member of the Doghouse Dems, I stand with how this bill is written. We need to protect the dogs that are out in our communities. I had mentioned that I was just watching Disney Plus, and there was a documentary or some kind of movie where on Disney Plus, yes, and it was a movie, and there were these two dogs in the alley eating spaghetti. It was one of the most romantic things I've ever seen. One of the most romantic things I've ever seen. They're in the alley eating the spaghetti, and then they eat the same strip.
Representative Melton, you have too much time on your hands.
And without this bill, they would have to stay in the alley and not be on the patio. So let's do this for Lady and the Tramp. Let's make sure that the dogs have a place on the patio. Do this for the Doghouse Dems. I ask for an aye vote.
Okay, I'm going to recognize Representative Humphrey first.
Thank you, members. There seems to have been a few omissions on L006. So to add in a few names like Theodosia, is that it? Theophilus, which would be my dog, Theo. And who else do we add in here? Was it Chica? Anyway, I move L007 and ask to be properly displayed as a substitute amendment to 006.
L007 has been moved and properly displayed. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And for the first time in my legislative career, I would like to say that the substitute amendment from Representative Humphrey is a friendly amendment. And I would encourage an aye vote.
Representative Singh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just wondering if we can do a substitute amendment, because the Senate had originally stripped this off. So I'd like to add, I don't know if it violates the single subject rule, to say that the Senate is a heartless body of curmudgeons that do not appreciate animals the way the House does. Does that violate single subject?
Okay, question before us is the adoption of substitute amendment L007. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Okay, L007 passes unanimously. Back to the bill, Mr. Majority Leader. Are there any further questions on Senate Bill 78? Seeing none, question before us is the adoption, not pet adoption, of Senate Bill 78. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Senate Bill 78 passes. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
Please.
Okay. The House will come back to order. Mr. Stoka, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, your Committee of the Whole begs to leave the report as under consideration the following attached bills being the second reading thereof and makes the following recommendation on House Bill 2013-29 as amended, passed on second reading in order and gross to the place on counted for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 78 as amended, Senate Bill 167 as amended, passed on second reading in order, revised and placed on the counted for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1296, Senate Bill 85 laid over until March 12th, 2020 and retaining their place on the calendar. House Bill 1008 laid over until March 13th and retaining place on the calendar.
Representative Tipper. You all have heard the motion. There are no amendments at the desk. Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. While we're waiting for folks to vote, I have a few announcements. Representative Sirota will replace Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez on Public Health Committee today only, and Sirota will replace Representative Jackson on Health and Insurance Committee today only. Representative Lontine will replace Representative Michaelson Janae on Public Health Care and Human Services Committee today only. And we are waiting on Landgraf, and that's it. Please close the machine. With 59 aye votes, 1 no vote, and 5 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to lay over the balance of the calendar till Thursday, March 12th.
Seeing no objection, we'll lay over the balance of the calendar till Thursday, March 12th. Announcements and introductions. Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Public Health Care and Human Services Committee. We look forward to seeing you at, we will do 10:10 a.m. 10:10 a.m. We will see you in House Committee Room 112. We have a few bills that are on your calendar. And then after that, we will be hearing here's a special announcement for Friday the 13th. We will also be hearing Senate Bill 40. So looking forward to seeing you on today and then Friday the 13th, where we will be hearing all the bills on your calendar, including Senate Bill 40.
Minority Leader Neville.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, I think they may have left during all the talk about naming of dogs, but they're here in the Capitol today. If you see the Douglas County Business Alliance, it's their day at the Capitol. Please say hi.
Representative McLaughlin and Wilson and Jaquez Lewis.
You asked to. You could ask? Okay.
Representative Wilson.
I wanted you to do it.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have a tribute, and we ask that it be read at length.
State of Colorado, the House of Representatives convened in the 72nd General Assembly hereby extends sincere accommodations to Colorado Public Schools. Public education is the bedrock on which Colorado is built. Approximately 90% of all school-age children in Colorado are enrolled in public schools. These children are our future teachers, scientists, engineers, armed service members, farmers, ranchers, and more. Investments in education lead to a diverse and skilled workforce that increases median wage, boosts worker productivity, and plays an essential function in continued economic development and social well-being. We are a proud local control state with community members elected by their neighborhood to serve on local school boards that ensure high-quality education is available to all students. The Colorado House of Representatives formally recognizes the essential role of public education in moving our community, state, and nation forward. On request of Representative Barbara McLaughlin and Jim Wilson, given this 11th day of March 2020, State Capitol, Denver.
Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If you have any questions about how successful public schools are, you need to go down to the first floor today. Amazing work that these students are doing. They're winning national contests. They're helping out with space exploration. They are just doing so much at the high school level, and we should be so proud of what our students today are doing because of their public education.
Representative Jaquez Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wanted to acknowledge St. Vrain's schools that I believe are here, or at least they were, and there they are. Yay! They brought with them today the wonderful mobile innovation lab. I encourage you to go take a look at it. There are all kinds of virtual augmented reality software there. There's 3D printing, audio, video production. They have breakfast burritos to feed us and sustain us. They have an omelet bar to treat us with, and we are just so proud of everything that you are doing. Thank you for being here on Public Education Day.
Thank you for joining us, St. Vrain. Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, since we're recognizing education, I thought I'd educate you a little bit. I've got 4 quotes for you from founding fathers. First one on the value of education by Benjamin Franklin. You recognize him from the $100 bill. And he wasn't a president, incidentally. If a man empties his purse into his head, no man can take it from him. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. On the content of education, because today we have controversy going on about what we teach. Thomas Jefferson, what are the objects of a useful American education? Classical knowledge, modern languages, chiefly French, Spanish, Italian, not just bilingual, but quadrilingual. Mathematics, natural philosophy, natural history, civil history, and ethics. In natural philosophy, I mean to include chemistry and agriculture, and in natural history to include botany as well as the other branches of those departments. On the importance of education, Thomas Jefferson once again. I think by far the most important bill in our whole code is that for the diffusion of knowledge among the people, no other sure foundation can be devised for the preservation of freedom and happiness. And finally, on local control, one of our other founding fathers. We developed at the local school district level probably the best public school system in the world, or it was until the federal government added federal interference to the federal financial aid and eroded educational quality in the process, Ronald Reagan. Thank you.
Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you very much, and I hope you can all celebrate public education today. Thank you.
Representative Tipper.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have two schools very near and dear to my heart that are here today. So we have students from Alameda High School, Gladys, Yvette, Eva, Jose, and Senora Casada, which is a teacher from the Pathways to Teaching program at Alameda High School. It is a dual language class. So one of the amazing things about Alameda is a high percentage of their students are fluent Spanish and English speakers. And initially a lot were ELLs and ESL students. And so what the school did is they said, this isn't a deficit, this is a strength. And they have turned so many programs at their school into complete bilingual programs, graduating these students with degrees that put them in a great position to step right into the workforce without tremendous debt. So a big warm welcome to these amazing future leaders. I also have the distinct honor of welcoming Devlin High School to the Capitol today. I graduated from Devlin High School when it was a fairly new school. We have today the principal, Mr. Griffin, with us, as well as the band director, Ms. Becky Paschke. And this is significant because Devlin is known nationwide, but also in Colorado for its superior academics. But the band program also received recognition this year. The Devlin class of 2020 earned the highest SAT score, or the highest average SAT score of 1272. That's the average at the school in Colorado. Year after year, they have some of the highest SAT and ACT scores. And as someone who transferred into Devlin my sophomore year, I can tell you, I almost didn't make it out. I was a 4.2 student when I transferred into Devlin and then went to an almost C student. And it took me 3 years, or the full 3 years to get up to a point. But when I got to college, I was more than prepared. I mean, my college classes at the University of Denver, no knock to them, were easier than Devlin. So thank you for all you do. I just want to make a plug today. During Band Director Paschke's 4 years at Devlin, her marching band has won the state championship and achieved runner-up. They moved up to 3A, and since then, they've won 2 consecutive state championships. Thank you. And in that, they earned the highest score ever achieved by a Colorado 3A band, so we really have leaders today in the building. The band is going to be performing on the west steps today of the Capitol at noon. We'd love for you all to join us. Really a wonderful pleasure to have Devlin here, where I graduated from, and Alameda in my district. Thank you so much for being here.
Representative Buenteo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Friends, as we celebrate public education today, I just want to take a moment to thank our public school teachers as a whole. I spent my entire 20s serving in rural Title I public schools, and I think in particular our rural educators deserve our thanks and our applause, just given that they do so much with so little. Frankly, here in the state of Colorado. I had the honor of serving with some of the best public educators who were recognized at the state level for their contributions to kids' lives. When I think back on everything we did, whether it was, teaching children the fundamentals of algebra or even just reading, teachers change children's lives. Rural educators, in particular, do even more because they have even less to work with. And I just want to say thank you and happy Public Education Day.
Thank you, everyone. Happy Public Education Day. Any other announcements, or Representative Landgraf?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We are here today to perhaps start a new tradition that I heard about last night. Another legislature in this country, I think it was California, at the end of their day, they have one person comes up and they dedicate their day in memory of somebody that has touched their lives, touched their state, touched their community.
And I am so happy to support Representative Landgraf in this effort to bring our legislative body together and hope that we can all lead by example and show that when things happen in our communities, we come together, notwithstanding different ideas we might have about the direction of our world or our country. We come together as a people because we honor and recognize one another as individuals and human beings who are in our communities together with us.
So today we would like to dedicate today's work to R.J. Lawrence. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Representative Kraft-Tharp.
Thank you. So Business Affairs and Labor Committee, we're meeting at 1:30 in room 107. We'll be hearing 5 bills: House Bill 1298, Senate Bill 68, House Bill 1299, House Bill 1326, and Senate Bill 120. Sia.
Representative Gray.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Transportation and Local Government. We'll be meeting this afternoon at 1:30 in LSB A. Let's hear House Bill 1315, House Bill 1151, House Bill 1339, Senate Bill 139, and Senate Bill 132. Anything else to add? No. Okay. Thank you very much.
Representative Duran.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to say that I've been excused from tomorrow, Thursday, March 12th, and wanted to make sure you're aware of that.
Representative Lontine.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Health and Insurance. This afternoon, we are hearing House Bill 1140 and House Bill 1349. We are meeting in room 112 down at the basement, so 1:30. Look forward to seeing everybody there.
Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I've spoken to the Majority Leader and the Minority Leader and received permission to be gone tomorrow.
Any other, that's fine. Any other announcements or introductions? Majority Leader Garnett, before we go into recess, just a minute. All right, we are going to read some reports of committees of reference. Mr. Stoka, please read reports of committees of reference.
House Committee of Reference Report, Committee on Business Affairs and Labor. After considering on the following merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1091 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. Senate Bill 26 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Senate Bill 46 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Committee on Energy and Environment, after consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1119 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee on Finance with favorable recommendation. House Bill 1180 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee on Finance with favorable recommendation. House Bill 1265 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee on Finance with favorable recommendation. Committee on Finance, House Bill 1163 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. House Bill 1206 be referred favorably to the whole to the Committee on Appropriations. House Bill 1207 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. House Bill 1305 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. House Bill 1323 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. House Bill 1341 be referred to the Committee on Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendations. Committee on Health and Insurance, after consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1319 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Senate Bill 102 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Committee on Judiciary, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1290 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole in favorable recommendation. House Bill 1330 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Committee on Rural Affairs and Agriculture. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1327 be postponed indefinitely. Senate Bill 155 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Committee on Judiciary. After the consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 88 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole of favorable recommendation. Committee on State, Veterans, Military Affairs. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1313 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee on the Whole of favorable recommendation. Committee on Transportation and Local Government. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1224 be amended as follows, as so amended be referred to the Committee on Finance with favorable recommendation. House Bill 1308 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. House Bill 1318 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. House Bill 1322 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Senate Bill 140 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation.
Signing of bills, resolutions, and memorials.
The Speaker has signed Senate Bill 17.
Signing of bills,
and-
resolutions, and memorials will be printed in the Journal. Delivery of bills to the governor. Oh,
The Speaker has signed SJR 20018 and SJR 20004.
delivery of bills to the governor. Or did you? You got it.
The Chief Clerk of the House of Representatives reports the following bills have been delivered to the office of the governor. House Bill 20.
Delivery of bills to the
1023.
governor will be printed in the Journal. Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the House stand in recess until later today.
Seeing no objection, the House will be in recess till later today.